Welcome, crew. Just want to do a little quick time recording of how to use fireworks because that's what we went over in class. And for those of you who are gone, this is just going to be a little quick summary lesson of what we covered. So to kind of let you know what's going on here, you need to open fireworks. And when you open fireworks, because it's an Adobe product, you're going to end up with two products. One is going to be a PNG from what's called a document. One's going to, when you export it, you're going to get you'll want either a JPEG or a TIFF. So let's go ahead and open a document. And notice that you can choose the size of what's called your canvas, the thing that you're going to end up producing, in either pixels, inches, or centimeters. And we're going to go with inches, 7 by 7. We're really not going to mess with the resolution right now. And notice that you can choose the canvas color and background. We're going to go with white, and we're going to click OK. And when you do that, you get what's an opening. This is a document. This background gray area is called your stage, and the white area, that's the area that's going to be produced. That's called your canvas. Notice that to your left, you've got a bunch of your toolbars. At the bottom, you've got your properties menu, and on the right, you've got your beginning so you can see your layers. All of these can be seen and put into place when you click Window. You see these things right there, and that's an important thing in case you accidentally click out of them so you can go back and find them. Okay? Important thing, I'm going to do a quick talk about the difference between bitmap images and vector images and the tools you use. Up here in the top, notice that you've got a select tool, most important tool of all. Between everything you do, you'll need to return to your select tool. Notice that next to tools, you've got this little triangle that gives you some options with your select tool. Okay? You've got bitmap tools, you've got vector tools. Bitmap tools can only be used on bitmaps. Hey, that's kind of logical. And vector tools can only be used to create vectors. So you got to kind of understand the difference. Okay? So we're going to make a bitmap image because that's one of your assignments. You could choose to do a bitmap or you can choose to do a vector. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag an image onto my canvas. Okay, now if you can see, because it's a large image, do you see how I can't see all, I can only see the part that's on the canvas? One of the good things to do is, before you get started, is to adjust your images. That's important in that it helps you save time. But I'm just going to reduce this image by tightening it up. And notice I've got little squares that just like, I'm going to move those in, and since it's disproportional right now, I'm going to move it up slowly. Didn't want to move it that much. There, we're starting to look a little better. Okay, so this is a picture of my cousin Bob when he was going off to the war in Vietnam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to use some tools, because one of your assignments is to make a canvas and to use a bitmap, which means to gather images. And think, a picture logically would be a bitmap because it's made from pixels, right? So I've got all these tools that I can work with this image or drag more and work with them in creating a collage. But I'm going to show you how to do a little cutting on a picture. I'm going to choose this thing called a marquee tool. Okay, see that? How I'm hovering it there? And this is called a lasso tool. And either one of these will let you cut things out. But I'm just going to use the marquee to be for speed. I'm going to select it. I'm going to come over here. Notice I've got some crosshairs. And boom, I'm going to select Bob's face. Now notice how I've got that line around the outside because I'm not done yet. I'm going to go to Edit, I'm going to go to Copy, then I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to go to Paste. Why? Because I don't want my picture of Bob to be without a head, but I do want to use this image somewhere else. So I'm going to click back on my Select tool, and when I drag, there, right there, I've got an image of Bob that's been pulled over. And I could actually use this thing called a marquee tool to do the same thing. I could actually cut out around his face, and boom, away we go. So, I mean, that's just one look at some things that you can do with a bitmap. One of these things that you have to understand is to collect or create a collage. I really don't care what size, but to use multiple images and show me layers and cuts. That's one option. We're going to go up to File, Create a New Document, and again, we're going to go to Inches, and I'm going to choose 7 and 2 inches, and I'm going to choose 7, and I'm not going to mess with the resolution. I'm going to leave it at background white, and I'm going to get a new document. And if you notice really quickly, it's just like a tab on a browser, I can go back to my bitmap. Now I'm on my vector, and I'm going to work with vector images. And what I forgot to talk about, because I'm kind of moving fast, is when you add things, how you get layers. Now I'm going to mess with vectors, which create graphics that can be changed and they won't pixelate, okay? So if you notice over here, I've got some tools that let me create some shapes, and I'm just going to draw some stuff, okay? I'm going to make, oh gosh, a rounded rectangle, and I'm going to pull it. Can you see my vectors right there? Can you see those little yellow dots? Okay, those are nice in that they let me control the size of the image. And every time I add that, see how I created a layer? And that's a vector image. And how at the bottom, my properties window changed so that I could work with this thing here. I don't like the color black for my background, so I'm going to change it and make it perky and call it pink. Okay, so now we have a pink background. Now I'm going to add some text. I'm going to go to my select tool, pick text, and I can create text. If I can type. I'll go to my select tool again, and I can move my text. You can kind of see how people use this to build buttons and whatnot. Now keep in mind that this is a vector image now, and then I can actually see my control points, and then I can see my layer of it. Every time I add something, how I get a different layer, and I start to work with an image. I can draw things, I can add aspects to them, and this is a vector world. Remember, vector tools, vector images, bitmap tools, bitmap images. When you're finished with your product, and remember, one is either going to be a bitmap, or you could choose to create a vector drawing. You're going to export it. Now, you just can't go to export, because it'll export it just to a PNG. And I want you to convert this to a JPEG or a TIFF. So we're going to go to use the export wizard, and you're going to walk through it. We're going to choose something for a desktop application, and it'll say a TIFF format. Now, you're not done. You could choose just a TIFF, or when you get to your format bar up here, you can choose a JPEG, whichever one you want, and you can actually mess with the quality. So these are all options of how to export your image from either a vector or a bitmap. Good luck with your fireworks assignment. If you have any questions, let me know.